Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on, YouTube? You have tuned into Rules for Rebels. I think you guys are going to be interested in this story. We have an update on the Quadriga CX issue. I believe the CEO of that company's name was Gerald Cotton. And back on February 4th of this year, I'd made a video titled Bitcoin Investors Out Over $190 million after the only guy with the password unexpectedly dies. And I'll link to that video below. There's also a bunch of articles. I'll try to find an article that kind of talks about it as well if you haven't heard about this story. But essentially, the CEO of a pretty large Canadian exchange was on a trip in India, I think doing some charity work supposedly, and he mysteriously died. And they never sent the body back home. The details of the death were really sketchy. And big surprise, he had the private keys to the wallet. You would think a big exchange with almost $200 million would have backups. There'd be a second in charge. There'd be some way to access the funds. But no, obviously it was pretty evident from the start that this was like an inside job. He ran off, faked his own death. It's kind of a known thing. We talked about it in that first video, but it's kind of a known thing that it's easy to bribe people and get death certificates in India. It's kind of like a known issue. A lot of people do it. And so pretty much everybody knew that he faked his death and ran off with the money. Well, I believe this is from, today. I believe a report came out from Ernst Young or somebody maybe a couple days ago. But this news is really just kind of making its rounds today. And there's kind of an interesting Twitter thread about it with a lot of info. I actually haven't really read through all of this myself even yet, so we'll kind of delve into this together. But essentially, he traded away all of the exchange's money. He set up fake accounts on other exchanges and probably was trying to gamble and make even more money and wound up losing all the money. So maybe he went off to India and killed himself. Maybe he ran off with whatever remaining millions there were. Obviously, he would have been in trouble for doing this. But the title of this article from CoinDesk is Quadriga CX CEO set up fake crypto exchange accounts with customer funds. Quadriga CX's late founder and CEO used customer funds to trade for his own account on other cryptocurrency exchanges. The Canadian firm's bankruptcy trustee said in a bombshell 70-page report, and I'm guessing we could probably read the report here. We can. I'll link to the report for you guys as well if you guys want to give it a read. In the bombshell report released Wednesday, Ernst Young claimed that Gerald Cotton, who apparently died last December, transferred millions of dollars in crypto out of customer accounts and into other exchanges, with the funds being used to furnish Cotton's personal lifestyle and trading habits. Overall, it appears that Cotton effectively stole more than $200 million from his customers. Significant volumes of cryptocurrencies were transferred off-platform outside Quadriga to competitor exchanges into personal accounts controlled by Mr. Cotton, a report said. It appears that the user cryptocurrency was traded on these exchanges and in some circumstances used as security for margin trading accounts established by Mr. Cotton. So not only was he using people's accounts, but also it sounds like, I'm assuming people KYC'd with his exchange, he was also using people's personal information. So people wonder why people don't want to KYC, why people don't want to give their information to exchanges. It's because of nonsense like this. You're better off staying as anonymous as possible. You guys have probably all heard, I made a video about it yesterday. Binance, which was one of the few exchanges that didn't make you KYC, they're going to be kicking off US customers on September 12th. I've opened up accounts with Gate.io as well as Kucoin. I think Kucoin's probably going to be my main exchange. I've never really liked decentralized exchanges that much, at least not the ones I've tried. I hate Ether Delta. But I'll link to Kucoin and Gate.io in the description box below. They still aren't making you KYC. That issue aside, fees and trading losses appear to have adversely affected Quadriga's cryptocurrency reserves, while other sums were sent to wallets whose owners EY could not confirm, or Ernst Young. Between 2016 and 2018, Cotton transferred 9,450 Bitcoin, 387,738 Ethereum, and 239,020 Litecoin out of his exchange's accounts, respectively 88 million, 105 million, and 33 million USD at present market prices, though their values have fluctuated and increased dramatically over that time. Cotton also appears to have created fake accounts on Quadriga, credited them with fiat amounts that did not actually exist, and used the fake fiat to purchase actual crypto from customers, with the largest accounts used, namely Chris Marquet. More losses. Later, the report says that Cotton margin traded ZCash, Dash, Dogecoin, and OmiseGo, where he generated substantial losses. An unidentified third exchange received 21,501 bitcoins, or $201 million in today's prices, into an account under Cotton's name. All but 8 bitcoin were liquidated, netting some $80 million Canadian, or 60.4 million USD. Well, this exchange is not cooperating with Ernst Young. It is cooperating with local authorities in its jurisdiction. Ernst Young is now looking to open formal channels with these authorities. Evan Thomas, litigator with Olzer, Hoskin, and Hellcourt in Canada, told CoinDesk that based on the report, what Cotton did was clearly fraudulent and betrayed the trust of Quadriga users. Cotton's actions could not have been an accident, Thomas indicated, saying, "It's possible that he got in over his head and was trying to trade his way out of a deficit using other people's money. But given that the fake accounts have existed since at least 2016 and he misappropriated funds for luxury travel and real estate investments, it seems more likely that this was a calculated and deliberate fraud." Quadriga CX filed for protection from creditors in January, owing customers $190 million worth of crypto and fiat, most of which it could not access because only its late CEO Gerald Cotton knew where the private keys were. Ernst Young's hunt for the missing funds, first as court-appointed monitor and then as trustee when Quadriga CX formally entered bankruptcy in April, has largely been fruitless. As of May, the estate had just $21 million of assets to cover $160 million in remaining liabilities, though the most recent report brings the sum closer to $24.5 million. The U.S. FBI is looking into losses, as are Canadian authorities. Other issues. Ernst Young's report also detailed rampant mismanagement and poor practices, noting that Quadriga did not keep administrative logs and had no contingency plan for losses or funds or its leader. What's more, the exchange seemingly engaged in poor accounting practices. For example, the exchange paid 2 of its 9 payment processors 11.8 million Canadian, roughly 9 million USD in fees alone. Quadriga did not maintain any documentation, however. The monitor has been unable to locate any accounting with respect to the pooled Quadriga funds. The report says the monitor notes TPP accounts were used to process user fiat transactions, fund general Quadriga operating costs, and on multiple occasions were directed to Mr. Cotton, parties related to Mr. Cotton, or counsel parties acting on his behalf. It went to add, it appears that as and when operating expenses were required to be paid, or when Mr. Cotton desired funds to be transferred to himself or related parties, he simply instructed TPPs to issue payments with no oversight. Ernst Young also believes that properties in Nova Scotia, properties in British Columbia, investment securities, cash holdings, a boat, an aircraft, luxury vehicles, and gold and silver coins that purportedly belonged to Mr. Cotton now belong to his widow, Jennifer Robertson, were paid for using Quadriga's customers' funds and therefore should be liquidated. As Mr. Cotton and Ms. Robertson's personal expenditures and the accumulation of their personal assets since 2015 was sourced from Quadriga funds, the trustee intends to seek the recovery of the preserved assets subject to the asset preservation order back to the estate for immediate liquidation on the basis that the funds which Mr. Cotton directed to be paid to them constitute preferences or transactions at value under the BIA and may be subject to other action asserted by the trustee, Ernst Young wrote. The proceeds from these sales, if successful, will go to the creditor's estate and could total as much as $12 million. So essentially, his wife has $12 million in assets that are going to be sold off and given to creditors and victims. Customer claims. In a separate filing, Ernst Young outlined the process that former Quadriga CX users who lost money when the exchange went belly up should follow to file claims. Users will be requested to complete and deliver the proof of claims to the trustee prior to 5 p.m. Halifax time on August 31st, 2019. The claims desk The claim submission date, Ernst Young acknowledged that filing creditors have encountered difficulty finding the information they need to prepare claims because Quadriga's website went down. So essentially the website went down. How do you prove that you had money on the website when you can't pull trading reports and things like that? So, it may not be a bad idea to occasionally take a snapshot of your crypto accounts to pull reports. I ran into a similar issue a while back. I got locked out of my Binance account. And one of the security ways of getting back in was they wanted me to, what was the last transaction that you sent out of the account? How much Steem did you have in your account? And they want to know it down to the decimal. You can't be like, I think I maybe had somewhere between 50 and 60 Steem. They want to know I had 50 Steem, or they want to know I had 1.123 Bitcoin. So probably not a bad idea to take a snapshot of your balances, pull trading reports every now and again. I think we've kind of covered everything in that article. Let's hop over to Twitter. There seems to be some different information here. Evan Thomas, commercial litigator on Twitter, had kind of a thread going about this. Let's see. The latest report from the Quadriga CX monitor is that Quadriga's deceased founder, Gerald, was running a fraudulent crypto exchange for years. The monitor is also now the bankruptcy trustee. We learned that. Back to the report, the biggest bombshell foreshadowed in earlier reports is that Cotton set up fake accounts, funded them with hundreds of millions of dollars in fiat and crypto that didn't exist, and bought real crypto from users, then moved the money off Quadriga. Where did it go? Primarily to accounts under Cotton's name. Let's see, notably accessed logs, so really no records. I was trying to see if there's anything in here that we missed in the article. Unnamed, covered. They're kind of covering the amounts. We talked about that. I was just kind of curious to see if anyone in the follow-up has anything interesting to say. My Money says the dude isn't dead. He had AML KYC info for... Oh, that's a good point. If this guy wanted to create fake identities, this guy's got over 100,000 people's IDs, because you have to submit IDs. He's got people's IDs, people's social security numbers. If I'm not sure how things work in Canada, but if you guys have anything, if anybody listening is from Canada, if you guys have anything like Experian, TransUnion, etc., you can freeze your credit. Probably the chances of you being picked out over 150,000 users is probably pretty slim. But you can freeze your credit, so nothing can be done with your credit or identity unless you have the PIN code that was used to freeze it. So probably not a bad idea to do. The other big tell for me is that he supposedly died in India, a place you can easily pay somebody to help you fake your death. We kind of talked about that. He had no morals and he was a horrible traitor. I bet I'm surprised his wife isn't fearing for her life. There's somebody out there who probably lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if he is alive, you can bet she probably knows where he is. Somebody who lost enough money may try to get a hold of her and try to get out of her where he's at, or try to get some assets from her. So she's probably not sleeping too easy at night. Let's see. He should have just hodled. They probably spent most of the money on advertising in order to acquire new users. That's how all kind of scams and Ponzi schemes work. You need to keep bringing in new people so that you can keep paying off old ones. So they probably did spend a lot of money trying to bring in a new user base. But I think we've kind of adequately covered this story. Like I said, I'll link to this article. I'll link to the report that they addressed and this Twitter thread if you guys want to read that on your own. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if there's any details of this story that I left out. Drop a comment below if you have anything to say. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on the next one.